Hello, I'd like to talk to you today about the law relating to employee versus contractor. Now, this is a much misunderstood area of the law, even though it's been around for quite a while. The concepts are relevant to a number of areas of the law, but today I'm going to focus on tax because that's the area that I most see. It's fair to say that most people find out they've got an employee v contractor problem when the ATO comes knocking. Now, that usually happens because a disgruntled former employee or a disgruntled former contractor, depending on how you look at things, has gone to the ATO and said, my employer isn't taking out PAYG or my employer isn't paying my super. The ATO will usually audit, and that's when you find out you've got a problem. It's better to know beforehand so the problem can be fixed. Now, it used to be said that the distinction between the two was that if you were an employee, you had a contract of service, whereas if you were a contractor, you had a contract for services. That's still true at its heart, although the concept has been refined quite considerably. Now, the issue isn't governed by what the parties want. The head contractor might be happy for you to be a contractor, and you might be happy to be a contractor, but that doesn't mean that you're a contractor. There's a number of misconceptions relating to the law relating to employee and contractor. And the first is that just because you've got a contract doesn't mean you're a contractor. You can have a document that's signed by everybody and says contract, and in it says I'm a contractor, but you may not be. The other misconception is that just because you've got an ABN, you're not necessarily a contractor. Now, there's a few indicia that relate to whether you're an employee or a contractor, and I'm just going to list a few, although it's important to point out that this is a complex area and you should take advice. Firstly, contractors are allowed to delegate and subcontract. Employees usually aren't. Secondly, contractors are paid by the job, whereas employees are generally paid by the hour. Thirdly, contractors generally supply their own tools, not so in relation to employees. The fourth is that contractors bear commercial risk, whereas employees generally don't. The fifth is that contractors decide how work is done, whereas employees are told how to work. And finally, contractors have independence, whereas employees generally work under direction. I can't stress enough that if you have any issues or think you might have any issues with this area, you should take some advice.